Hello, what's up? It is I, your fairy glow mother, Hadia Dashe, back again with another episode of Poor Choices, the podcast that helps you make better beauty decisions. Now, this podcast is for beauty professionals and beauty enthusiasts alike. And today's episode is the perfect bridge, the perfect mix of the two, because we are talking about one of my all-time favorite topics, and that is branding. I don't want to yap at you too much. I want to get into the branding. I want to talk about branding in beauty because in the beauty industry, I feel like the possibilities and the opportunities with branding are literally endless. There are so many creative branding moments that I see quite literally every single day. But I also think it is crucial to the consumer to be a little bit skeptical of branding, because I find that it is very, very easy for beauty consumers to fall victim to branding. And honestly, so many beauty consumers fall into overconsumption and literally just buy things because it looks good and because it's pretty. But a lot of the products on the market are so basic. They are barely effective, if they're effective at all. And sometimes we are just falling for pretty packaging and paying for packaging. So, you know what? I just need to get into the episode because I'm gonna just get into the episode. I hope that you're ready. If you're listening to this while you're in the car, you might want to listen to this episode again when you get home, when you have a moment of time to yourself where you could just like sit down and take some notes, because we have a lot to discuss. So let's get into the episode. There are a lot of ways that you can brand yourself in beauty. It can be your business name. Mine is Fairy Glow Mother. It could be the names of services you provide. My first time facial is called a Genesis. It could be your customer service, how you refer to your customers and online community. I refer to mine as the Glow Gang. Logo, colors, even you can be the physical embodiment of your brand. Clearly, branding can be a lot of things, but there are some fundamentals you will need to establish to make your brand stand the test of time. I would like to take this moment to remix the rubric from RuPaul's Drag Race real quick and just say that you want your brand to be cunt. C-U-N-T. And if you are a Drag Race fan like me, you know that stands for creativity, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. But from a beauty branding ethos, to me, cunt is client-centric, unique, niche, and timeless. What do I mean by this? All right, let's get into it. Client-centric. So there are a number of reasons that you want your brand to be client-centric in the beauty service industry. You want your potential clients to know that you provide the exact services they are looking for, you are a trusted beauty professional they can depend on, and you provide quality one-on-one care for their beauty-related concerns. Essentially, you want your potential client to know that they are at the center of everything you do. But even more than that, you want a customer-centric branding approach because it leads to higher profits in the long run. A study back in 2021 found that 72% of the top performing brands are customer-centric. Another report found that repeat customers spend 67% more on average than a new customer. And potential clients will pay a 16% premium on services for an amazing customer experience. So as you can see, you can stand to make a lot of money within your business just by centering the client in your branding. An easy way to establish your business as client-centric is to provide a personalized quiz for the services you provide or the products you sell. We see this a lot with like direct-to-consumer beauty brands. Almost any DTC brand website is going to have a quiz. Like that is basically their number one way, to acquire new customers or get customers on their email list. But two, that's normally how they start a relationship with personalization and making the customer feel like, everything is going to be very hyper specific to them. This can also help your potential client book the correct service or purchase the right products, resulting in a positive experience with your business. Now, I will say that though I think quizzes would make a ton of sense for service providers at the booking process, I do think it would ultimately lead to less conversions, meaning less bookings. Because I think once you establish a quiz at that point, some people are just like, I just want to book a facial or I just want to book a haircut. They don't want to go through a quiz and a choose your own adventure to figure out what's like. A lot of people are just not going to do that. So if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, a quiz would be smart, I'm going to come back to this because I do think there's a area or a type of service provider that absolutely would benefit from a quiz and automatically elevate their experience. But yeah, let me come back to that one. Okay, next up, unique. So you probably already knew this, but surprise, everyone is an esthetician. Literally everybody. There are over 50,000 licensed estheticians in the United States, and the majority of licensees are in New York City and Atlanta. The field is constantly growing, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics had a 17% growth available year over year through 2024 to now we're in 2025. So it's getting even larger. How do you plan to stand out amongst the crowd? Well, your brand has to be unique. I think it's quite easy to be unique in the world of beauty. The problem is that a lot of the marketing you'll do will likely be online, and it's so easy for someone else to copy what you're doing, making your offerings less unique. The most unique branding opportunity you have is within your business name and service offerings. Some people think really long and hard on their business names, and others just get an epiphany in the middle of the night and go with it. And yes, I'm talking about me. Fairy Glow Mother is something that came to me in the middle of the night. I was asleep. In my dream, I said something about a Fairy Glow Mother. Dead sleep. Realized, wait, that's kind of interesting. Woke up, wrote it down, rolled over, went right back to sleep. That is quite literally how it happened. So when you know, you just know. But if you're not a service provider, if you're thinking of making products, your actual product name is such a unique branding opportunity. And there's two different ways you can do this. There is your business name and attaching a very generic name to it. So let's say for me, if I just called my cleanser, but on the bottle, it was Fairy Glow Mother Cleanser. That's one way to do it, but Fairy Glow Mother might be interesting enough, but if that name wasn't interesting, then it's just kind of generic. But Magic Milk, that's a little something. By the way, RIP Magic Milk, that was the very first product I ever put out. It was a cleanser. I don't make that anymore, but it was a good name, okay? And it was a really good product. It's just, capitalism got the best of me, but, we're not talking about that right now. Anyway, you can think of a good pun for anything involving the word skin or anything related to the skincare business. Skinvitation, Face Reality, About Face, Skindulgence are examples of this. Business names like Skin by X or The Beauty Bar are generic and can be found in almost any city in the USA. You want to pick a business name that can only be associated with you. And then you want to trademark it immediately. But we can talk about that on another episode. You can also choose to incorporate the city or area in which you operate into your business. LA Beautyologist or the Dallas Esthetician are really good examples of this. And those, by the way, those are two very popular estheticians online. Definitely look into their branding if you're looking for a little bit of source of inspiration. Those are two women that I think absolutely kill it with branding. Check them out. If you feel like you can't be so unique in your business name, that's okay too. As long as you're unique enough to stand out in a simple Google search, you don't want to have a name that is used by everyone because then you'll have more of a challenge being seen by your potential customer. Let's talk about niche. You don't have to provide every service to everybody. It is absolutely okay to niche down. I'm going to repeat myself. You don't have to provide every service to everybody. In a perfect world, you would, because that's the best way to maximize your money, but it's also the quickest way to burn out. And you may even find that offering everything is confusing to your customers. You're in this for the long haul, so you want your business to move and grow at a pace that is sustainable for you. You do this by finding the right niche. A niche is a specialized segment of the market for a particular kind of product or service. Nick Townsend Brows and Kelly Baker Brows are very niche in that they only provide, brow services. Heyday's niche is in their popular treatment times. They're known for 30-minute facial services. Places like Stripped and Pretty Girls Get Waxed are known for their Brazilian waxing services. While these places may provide additional services, their niches are what they're known for. Your niche is your biggest advertisement that gets customers in the door. When I started, my niche was the time of day that my business was open, which was 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. I know, maybe crazy, but that was my thing when I started. Most other facial studios in my areas closed at 7 p.m. And now I absolutely will not be taking a client after 7, but when I was starting out, I wanted to be different. So I was able to get a lot of clients by being available when other spas weren't. Today though, my niche is probably just results. Yeah, maybe it's results today. There are so many different niches you can choose in the world of aesthetics. You can choose to focus on advanced treatments only, acne, anti-aging, brows, lashes, makeup artistry, permanent makeup, intimate hair removal, hard wax, sugar, product manufacturing, beauty education, the list goes on and on and on. Even within your niche, you can further specify by working in specific industries. For example, you can cater to brides and wedding parties. You can choose to work only on film and television sets. Target travelers by establishing your business as a destination spa. Focus on editorial. The options are really endless. In my professional opinion, I think it's always better to start in a niche and branch out than to provide many services before eventually niching down. And this is one of those areas in the podcast where it's do as I say, not as I do, because I absolutely went about this the opposite way. When I started out, your girl was doing everything for everybody. And eventually I niched down. It's literally only in the last 6 months that I've completely narrowed down the services that I offer to about 5 core services. When I started out, I probably had a treatment menu where you could choose from 30 different things, which is ridiculous. But I truly loved aesthetics. I wanted to do all facets of it. I think that also led to me feeling or experiencing burnout a lot sooner than I anticipated. And also, if you're like me and you're working as a solo esthetician, it's very hard to accommodate for all services because you have to think about the setup for each of the different services you provide, the cleanup time after the service, timing to perform each different service, and your actual space. Will you have access to multiple beds to perform different services, or do you have to work from a singular station? What does your day look like if you had a full day of each service you provided? Would you be making money or losing money due to time? Figuring out your niche is probably the most crucial decision you will make as a beauty business owner. An easy way to find your niche is to think about the one service you absolutely love to do the most. You will have to perform that one service thousands of times as you build your business, so you want to be sure that it's something you enjoy doing long term. Another way to think about your niche is to consider your current and potential clients. This is no surprise since our businesses should be client-centric to begin with. Do you want to help clients with specific skin concerns like acne or hyperpigmentation? Or do you want clients who are looking for a relaxing escape? Again, the options for your niche are endless, but I implore you to think really long and hard about it because ultimately your niche will define your business. Write that down. All right, time to come to our last point, timeless. This one might seem a little confusing. Isn't every business essentially timeless? Not really. I mean, Spirit Halloween's entire business model is designed to operate just 4 months out of the year. And if people just up and stop being interested in Halloween, it might be a wrap for them. Similarly, when it comes to beauty, you don't want your business to be so trendy that it falls out of favor with your clients in a few months or years and leaves you broke. We all know that trends in this industry change on like a monthly basis. If you are chasing trends on whatever the latest social media app du jour is, then you should reevaluate the reasons you are in business. For example, the most volatile service on your service menu is going to be brows. Brow designs and trends are constantly changing. More consumers are intentionally getting into brow shapes that don't actually flatter their face or the eye shapes to mimic social media filters. So this is another area where you are going to have to constantly adapt, especially if you're doing brows. A lot of people are doing like brow mapping where clients might seem like really into it. They feel like they're getting a really precise brow. But if you really, really do brow artistry and you look at all of these videos or pictures where people are doing brow mapping, you realize everyone's getting the exact same brow and it doesn't exactly like fit everyone's face the same. Like you can adapt to all of these styles and trends for brows, but you still have to know the basics. And certain advanced treatments can become trendy too. For example, when clients know pills by a brand name versus the benefit that the pill provides, you can end up getting a bunch of clients who are requesting a pill simply because it's popular, not because they need it. And then they could end up getting adverse reactions or the results they were not expecting. And that ends up reflecting on you poorly in the end. You always want to be in control of your business. You don't want your business or your clientele to be determined by forces you have no control over. For example, social media. You also want to be providing a service or services that can constantly bring new people through your door. When you're good at what you do, the chances that you keep the same clients forever is unlikely because you are providing them with good results, which in turn may not require them to get your services any longer. That's a good thing. Now, think about ways to turn that same client into a lifelong client. What other services can you offer them? What gets them coming back now that they've gotten the results? So using the CUNT model, let's work on some exercises that can give you a start to branding yourself and your business, whether you're a service provider or creating beauty products. Keep in mind that your brand is how your business is perceived. The art of branding is managing your business's perception and identity. The ultimate goal of branding is for your business to live rent-free in the minds of the consumer. You want your potential clients to be curious enough about what you offer to make that first appointment with you. The best brands not only establish themselves within their industry, but also cultivate a community amongst brand followers, create meaningful relationships, and build trust and value. Brand elements that you will want to be thinking about or hiring a designer to think about include your business name, colors, fonts, voice, logo, tagline or slogan, messaging, like the value, the mission, etc. How you and your employees will dress, packaging, website, pricing, and your ideal customer. So for these exercises, we're going to work backwards by starting with identifying your ideal customer and ending with creating a business name. So when you're creating your ideal customer, you want to think of demographic and psychographic data points. And demographics are statistical data relating to the population and particular groups within it. Examples can include age, gender, city of residence, employment status, those types of things. Psychographics are the study and classification of people according to their attitudes, aspirations, and other psychological criteria, especially in market research. So some examples of psychographics are favorite websites, TV shows they watch, apps they use, general interests, favorite stores, daily habits, etc. You do not have to have just one ideal customer. You can create as many customer profiles as you see fit. I think you should start off with two: your casual customer and your high-end VIP customer. Here are a few data points that I think you should think about when creating your two ideal customer profiles. So definitely age. How old is your ideal consumer? You can be as specific as an exact age, but I honestly think an age range works best. Something you could say something like, 21 to 30 or something like that. Gender, and you want to include which gender identities your ideal client may identify with. I think it's important to be mindful and inclusive. Male and female just might be too limiting here. You want to think about ethnicity and race. Race is a category of humankind that shares certain distinctive physical traits, and ethnicity categorizes groups of people according to their cultural expression and identification. So one can be Black, race, and Irish, ethnicity, as an example. I just like to throw that out there. Religion can also be a demographic that you may want to consider. Do they attend church regularly? Are they anti-religion? Which faith are they a member of? What houses of worship may they reside near and or be familiar with? Income, another great demographic data point. You can look at monthly or annual income for demographic purposes. And unless you survey your clients directly, this is almost always going to be a guesstimate. Like, you don't really know how much your clients are making or how much your customer makes. If you're considering a career in brows and know that your most expensive brow service might be, $50, then you want an ideal client with an average monthly income that can cover your $50 expense. Or if you want to be a high-end spa, maybe you're targeting clients who make like $125,000 or more per year. You want to look at education as well, like what's the highest level of education they've attained? Do you want people who only went to high school? Do you want some people who've attended college? Do you only want to focus on people who would have a graduate degree of some kind, a skilled trade? Look at those sort of things. Their occupation, what do they do for a living? Are they in school, or do they have good jobs? Are they models or influencers? Ask questions. You also could consider relationship status. Is your ideal client single or married? Are they dating, engaged, or divorced? Household type. Now, I don't know. For me, I kind of feel like this might be pocket watching a little bit too much. But it could be important depending on the area. Like, you just might live in an area where maybe you live in a college town, so you are surrounded by more college living or dormitory situations versus regular people who work jobs, who might have condos or apartments or townhomes, whatever. And political affiliation might be helpful to you if you in some kind of way incorporate it into your branding, or if you're looking at advertising in certain areas, that might be important as well. Moving over to psychographics, we can look at online habitats. So which websites and which social media platforms are your ideal customers on? This is kind of like where they hang out online, where you're most likely to connect with them. Another good one is favorite stores. So where does your ideal client shop? And it does not have to be where they shop specifically for beauty related items. It could just be like where they shop in general. Do you want a Nordstrom's customer? Do you want someone who frequents Forever 21? Go wild. Think about where you shop, the places that you shop, and where you're a customer of. Would you want to be a customer of your place? Also, like hobbies is a really great psychographic. So A really good hobby is probably someone who has aspirations of being an influencer or is an influencer as a hobby because they naturally may promote your business. Someone who is into skincare. Hobbies could include like crafting, sewing, cooking. Obviously, there's a long list of hobbies, so you can go through and figure out what your ideal customer does in their spare time. And also like what their everyday values are, kind of what their motivations are in life, and general interests. Those are all examples of psychographics. Now, for your business name, there are so many things you could do to come up with a business name. You could do any kind of these business name generators. I created one that is literally based off a zodiac sign. But there's so many things you can do. There's so many exercises. I think it's important to do a lot of creative exercises when you're setting up and trying to discover what your business name should be. And, a lot of it might not be good, but I think it helps to get the creative juices flowing because you might stumble upon something. I'll include some links to some business name generators that may or may not be helpful to you. And, just have fun with it. Don't take it too serious. Childish Gambino got his rap name from a Wu-Tang rap name generator. So, just do you. I think that once you have a business name or 5, then I want you to check to make sure the name is available for you to own online. This is very, very crucial. So in the show notes, I'll include some links to websites where you can check domain names as well as social media handles. This is exactly what I did when I woke up that next morning and saw that I had wrote down Fairy Glow Mother. I literally went online and checked and see if it was available, and it was literally available everywhere except for Instagram, except I think the account that was using it had been deactivated. So for whatever reason, I could not get that for some time, but eventually I got it, and yeah, that's how it happened. Now, the name that you love the most, it may not be available for you everywhere. And in a lot of cases when that happens, you'll see people have alternate names on social media. And that was the case for me. Like I just said, the Instagram was taken, so the name used to be Fairy Glow Muva, M-U-V-A. But I see people do this and it ends up kind of hurting their brand in the long run when your name is known as one thing in most places, but some areas, some other sites, it's known as something else. It just creates confusion. So if you can keep your brand name cohesive, I would highly recommend that. And again, that's an area where I'm speaking from experience. Okay, so we have just discussed a lot about branding, and it was to me, this is like branding basics, but I want to know if it was really dropping some gems on you. What are your thoughts? You already know. This is Talk to Me, I Talk Back. You can leave a comment on YouTube, on Spotify. You can reach out to me on social media. There's a lot more to this. Like, I just gave you a little tiny excerpt of a pretty big document. If you're interested in learning more about branding, if you want access to this, let me know, reach out. Yeah. So with that being said, I am going to actually, I realized I've been talking for a little minute. Oh my gosh. I didn't realize I have been yapping for this long. Why didn't anybody tell me? I told you. I get to talk about branding, marketing stuff, and I could just go on and on and on and on and on and on for hours. I don't want to put you through this. I don't want this episode to get too long. So I'm going to go ahead and cut myself off right now, and we will pick it back up next week. Next week, we are kind of still discussing a little bit of branding, but specifically we are talking about social media next week. So please make sure you tune in. I also will skip our favorite segments this week. Next week, we will have a couple of choice words segments, and I have a new segment for you as well. So please tune in. Subscribe to this podcast if you haven't subscribed yet. Rate this podcast if you haven't rated it yet. Like, Come on, give me some ratings. Let me know how you feeling, what you thinking. Once again, I'm your fairy glow mother and host. You have been listening to Poor Choices, the podcast that helps you make better beauty decisions. I look forward to chatting with you next week. And remember, make your poor choices the best choices. Have a good week.